I don't want to get to a point where it's like I have to change or else I'll die. I want to live my best life now. And in order to do that, I need to start making my best decisions now. And the best way to do that is to really understand that in order to do that, I need to let my inner hero shine.
Welcome to the Hairpreneur Show, the show that teaches you, the hair pro, how to work smarter so you can make more, work less, and live a purpose-driven life on your schedule, not your clients'. I'm your host, Ryan Whedon, and each week I'll teach you awesome, actionable ways to tap into your personal greatness. Through marketing, mindset, and confidence training, it's time to unlock the next level of you. Let's grow.
What's happening, guys? I am back. The Hairpreneur Show is rolling again. I took I don't even know, a 2-month hiatus because sometimes you just have to take a break from things. Sometimes you have to step back from things when you get overwhelmed. And the podcast, on top of everything else with our education we just rolled out for this year, when that started to come back into play, I just got overwhelmed and I was stressed out and I had to focus on the most important things in my life and also the most important money-making activities. And hey, podcasting for me is just not one of those. I'm not Joe Rogan, who's gotten these multi-gazillionaire type of contracts or anything like that. I pretty much do it because I enjoy it. It's fun. And hey, it gives me some content to post every now and then. And maybe in the future, it'll pay off in ways I can't even imagine now. For right now, it's more of just like another way to reach people and to get my message out there. I am here to inspire others. I am here to help hairdressers and people in general just believe that they can accomplish a lot more than they think they can. And I understand it because I have my own doubts. I have my own challenges and what I've recently started to call my darkness. And that makes me sound like I'm some kind of a criminal or something. But look, we've got this event coming up and my whole focus is just laser focused on this event. It's called Mob Hero Retreat. We had a Mob Hero event last year and it was awesome. It was this event for hairstylists to take their businesses and more importantly, their lives to the next level. And in order to do that, we got these educators and these trainers and these coaches from different walks of life, not necessarily even in the hair industry, to come in and open up the audience's minds to possibilities, to people that have had great epiphanies, ways that they have bettered their lives, bettered themselves, and reached goals far from what they ever thought was even possible in their own lives. And for me personally, I used to think that being a hairstylist wasn't good enough. And in fact, many people told me, Ryan, you need to find another job. Nobody is going to pay you well enough to create a life with financial freedom, to create a life that you can serve your family and go on vacations and buy nice cars and houses and that type of stuff, gosh, what was it, material possessions and things like that. There are so many naysayers out there that say, you're a hairdresser. If you're not a celebrity hairdresser, then you're not going to be able to make a lot of money. And you're definitely not going to make $1 million ever in your entire life, right? Well, I proved them wrong. And I proved myself wrong because I believed it too, that you can be hugely successful as a hairdresser. But in order to do that, you need to think outside of the hairdresser box. And that's why I have this event called Hero to bring in people, entrepreneurs, hairpreneurs, people that have done what I consider the impossible. They've tapped in to their own inner hero and they've started to take their life and live out loud outside of the box and try different things that are maybe not traditional, try other ways to make money and ways to approach how they live every single day. How do they get better habits? How do they fight what I call my darkness? Because everybody's got problems. That's the way I look at it. I'm like, my darkness is just problems. I got bad habits. I got vices. Who doesn't, right? If you're listening to this, I'm sure you do. Nobody is perfect. That's why I know you got problems, right? You got challenges. You got obstacles. I was talking to my coach recently, and my coach, who's going to be at Hero as well, his name is John Russo. He's an incredible dude, and he can really see into my soul and my mind, and he understands how I think. So he can help me to understand, okay, this is, I think, what you're trying to go for, Ryan. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And I'm trying to wrap my head around, okay, what am I going to say at Hero? How am I going to talk about even myself being a hero, tapping into my own inner strength? And that's what it's about, pulling out our personal greatness for the greater good, for our lives, for our families, for our future. And he said, well, Ryan, first of all, what does a hero need? And I'm like, supernatural powers, like superpowers. I'm like, well, yeah. But you know what? We all have superpowers too. And it's about learning how to tap into those. But what he said was heroes need a villain. And I'm like, oh, he's like, people need to understand who their villain is. Who are they fighting against? What are they fighting against? And I started to think about it, and it came to me recently. It was funny. I was watching this stupid, funny show. It's called Mythic Quest. It's this Apple show. It's got one of the dudes from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I can't remember his name, but he's this egomaniac. He's super funny, but he's a total egomaniac. And it's about this company that puts on and creates these video games. And of course, video game industry is like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And he has one of the most popular games in the world. And they're creating these games, these situations and whatnot. And one of the games they created is it's this like expansion set. It's Mythic Quest. And it opens with this deep voice of this guy talking about like, it's like swords and castles. And that's kind of like where this game is situated. And this who's this commentator, this narrator is talking about like, the evil will come from far away, and it takes the best of the best to succeed and overcome evil, and yada, yada, yada. But then there was a quote that came it hit me so hard. And it's one of those like super funny, like fairy tale type of like quotes. But for me, it made total sense at the time. And I've been literally repeating it to myself whenever I start to feel an inkling of doubt or fear or uncomfort in my life. And the quote is this: to expel darkness, one must focus only on the light. And of course, it was with this deep voice. To expel darkness, one must focus only on the light. But I heard this quote. And at the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, my darkness is my villain. My bad habits, my challenges, that is my villain. And if I want to overcome and defeat my villain and really pull out and extract that inner hero inside of me, I need to know who I'm fighting. So if I say I've talked about it before, it's like, I smoke some pot, and I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, since like college, I don't smoke a lot, but nights and other times I smoke a lot less now because I've got kids and I want to make sure that I'm fully functional if I ever need to race them to the hospital or, something happens. I want to make sure that I'm fully present and a capable parent. But, I'll still take a puff here and there, and probably more often than I should. But I have bad habits too. It's like if I pass by chocolate, it's like I eat the chocolate. If there's ice cream in the fridge, I'm going to eat the ice cream. Like I just can't help myself. It's like an addiction. And we all have these types of, we call them just, bad habits. They're vices. That's fine. It's fine. But is it fine? And I looked back at journals from years ago, and I'm talking about the same damn things, the same challenges that I'm talking about now in my journals. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I have the same challenges. It's just, I'm repeating the same pattern. Why am I doing this to myself? And I'm like, because I haven't labeled a villain. I haven't done it. I haven't labeled a villain. And I'm like, okay, I can't just call these, it's just a bad habit of mine. It's just a habit. I really want to change it. But until I started to look at it like it's a villain, like this is evil. It's an evil force that's keeping me from becoming my full, true self. And when I started to look at it like that, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at chocolate a little bit differently. I'm looking at smoking pot and drinking beer a little bit differently. Like, do I really need that margarita? Do I really need that third glass of wine, on a Tuesday? Do I really need to do that? This is hurting my progress where I see myself when I look into the future of who I want to be. Who is my best self? What is the best version of me that I want to be? And what is it going to take to get there? And lots of drinking, lots of smoking, lots of chocolate. It's not in the future. It's not in the equation. It is not in the vision of who I want to be and who I'm going to be. So now I've labeled it as a villain, and now I can allow my hero to shine. And it's like I've been kind of nerding out about this because I'm a total nerd and I got dad jokes for days. You already know that. But then everything starts to make sense now. And now I can start to plan my future. And now when I look at my vices, I'm not looking at them like, it's just something I probably shouldn't do, but I'm going to keep doing it because eventually it's going to catch up to me. And eventually it's going to keep me from reaching those goals that I want to hit in the very near future, right? I don't want to have to just let this slide for a while until it gets to a point where suddenly my health is at stake or my heart is incapable of getting better. If I've had too much cholesterol, I don't want to get to a point where it's like I have to change or else I'll die. I want to live my best life now. And in order to do that, I need to start making my best decisions now. And the best way to do that is to really understand that in order to do that, I need to let my inner hero shine. So now that all that is said, and we've got this incredible event, it's going to be happening, Mob Hero Retreat event. It's going to be happening August 14th and 15th on Clearwater Beach in this beautiful hotel, 2-day event. It's going to be insane. Of course, if you're listening to this podcast and that event has passed, we're going to have more. This is just the beginning, but the message still stands. And one thing leading up to we have about 80 days away now as I'm recording this till the event. And one thing that I'm going to be doing for myself, and I was thinking about it earlier and had this epiphany last night. And I'm like, I need to give myself a hero challenge. What am I going to do so that I can show up on stage in 80 days and know that I did everything I could to stand on that stage with these other incredible educators, coaches, and trainers? How am I going to be able to stand up there next to them talking about bringing out your inner hero if I haven't done it myself? And yes, I've done some cool things in my life. I've made a lot of money. I've had a lot of success in business and branding. But do I feel like I'm my best self, the best version of myself? And I don't. I have fears. I have regrets. I have that darkness. I slide into depression and anxiety. Although there are certain things that we just can't control, we can control how we think about each moment, how we look at different situations. And going back to that quote, to expel darkness, one must focus only on the light. What does that mean? It means if you are laser focused on only what's good, what's beautiful, and what's positive and optimistic in the world, you won't even see the darkness. It'll be so far removed because all you see is light. If you're only positive all the time and optimistic all the time, darkness doesn't even exist. When darkness comes, when something challenges you, you're going to look at it in the most positive, best self eyes. That I guess that doesn't really make sense, but you know what I'm saying? You'll see it differently than you would if you were already depressed and something bad happens. And then you're going to say, God damn it, why me? Why me? Why does this always happen to me? Right? We want to look at it and say, like, something happens, but I can get through this. This is tough, but I've been through worse. I've survived 100% of my bad days. And this is just a challenge. It's an obstacle. It's a road bump in my life. And I have the tools to get through this. And that's what focusing on the light means. So this event, I'm gearing up for it now. And I'm starting to put together like my speech, my bit. I'm going to be on stage quite a bit. I'm hosting the event, but I have a big moment in the beginning of the whole event where I'm going to be pretty much presenting the event, getting people hyped up, excited. And I'm like, do I go out there and rah, jump up and down like a Tony Robbins or Brendon Burchard or some of these other educators that, is that me? I mean, maybe we'll see. I have done it before and it's fun, but I also want to live my truth. I also want to go out there and tell people that, you know what? It's okay to be flawed. It's okay to have fears and regrets and not be doing things that you think you should be doing at all times. Like, it's okay to be imperfect because that's what being human is all about. So here's what I'm going to do. Not only am I going to have this weekly podcast come out leading up to Hero, talking about how I'm approaching this event, because this is a huge event. We're expecting hopefully 600 people there. Right now, we already have hundreds of tickets sold, and we're selling out quickly. So we're going to have hundreds of people there. And this, regardless, it's going to be an incredible event. But I want to make sure that this is just such an eye-opening, mind-blowing event that people aren't going to even know, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this existed in the hair world, because it doesn't. And we want to be the people that actually create that kind of buzz, that kind of inspiration that you go to each year, you get charged up, and you feel like you can conquer the world. And yes, you can. And that's what this event is all about. So I'm going to lead up to this with my podcast, talking about, okay, creating Hero, building Hero. This is what these next several podcasts leading up to that is going to be. So one thing I'm going to be doing to myself is allowing myself to do is have a Hero challenge. And this Hero challenge it scares me. It really does. Health and fitness is a big part of my life. Well, I want it to be a big part of my life. And I've always been very athletic throughout my life. And I've always had like a decent body. I work out every so often. Sometimes I have good stretches where I'll work out repeatedly, but then something in life changes. And when you have a growing company, things are changing all the time. When you have a growing family, things are changing all the time. I know I'm not alone. People's lives are always changing. And of course, after COVID and that year, and we're all in different places. So my goal to myself is this. I want to be able to stand on stage knowing that I did the best I could to be as fit as I could. I want to be fit as okay, I'll say it, fit as fuck. I want to be fit as fuck for this event. Okay. I want to go up on stage and take my shirt off and feel confident about it. Not like I've got this dad bod that, it'll get better in time. It's fine. I'm a dad. I got this. Because I've seen dads that have stellar bodies that are in tip top shape and they've got many more kids than I do. And they're much busier than I am. So I know it's possible. So why is it not possible for me? So if I'm going to be able to do this and stay up on stage and show this montage of me in my journey, it's got to start today. It's got to start right now. So what I'm going to do here today in my studio, right after this podcast, before I work out, before I get pumped up from the gym, I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to take my shirt off and I'm going to take some video and start to share it with the world. Be like, look, this is where I'm at. I'm not happy with where I'm at. Some people might look at me and be like, oh, he's in decent shape. He could use a little bit more toning around the midsection and whatnot. But we all know how we feel individually and what we're capable of. And I know I'm capable of so much more. And I know you know that you are capable of so much more. And we're all at different levels and places and stages in our life. And this is a stage where I want to take it to the next level, especially gearing up toward Hero. So I've got 80 days to get as fit as possible. And I want to be noticeably different on stage. And I do want to take off my shirt briefly, not to be like, yeah, look at how great I look. It's more about, I want to feel confident, like I accomplished something huge. I'm not going to say like, yeah, my bicep has increased by 2.5 inches. Like, I don't care about that stuff. I just want to look good naked. I want to take off my clothes and look good naked. I'm not going to take off my clothes on stage, but I might take off my shirt or something like that. But I'm going to start to document my journey. Each week, I'm going to talk about what I'm doing, how much I'm working out, what I'm eating, how I'm focusing on improving. And I think this is either a really genius idea or it's a really terrible idea, because I'm not always a big fan of telling people your goals and making the world watch you in accountability, because this is so vulnerable. This is a vulnerable thing to do. And I'm terrified, I'm terrified, but I'd also know that growth happens when you're uncomfortable. You don't grow in comfort, right? You can maintain and you can enjoy that state of comfort. But if you want to take it to the next level, you got to do next level things. You got to put yourself where you might not want to be, but you need to be, if that makes sense. So this is what I'm going to do. And each week we're going to talk about my journey. And if you can, I also want to, if you send me DMs, take a screenshot of this episode and tell me what you're working on. If you have a Hero challenge, let me know about it. If you're listening to the podcast and you want to go to Hero, I'll even give you a 10% off code. I'm not sharing this worldwide across social media, but I'll give you a 10% off. Just use Ryan10 and that'll get you 10% off of a ticket to Hero. I want you there. I want my supporters there to be like, Ryan, you look great. And if I look like crap, I'm not going to look like crap. I've said things like this before and then I haven't lived up to what I believed, but I also haven't really looked at my challenges and my vices and my problems as darkness, as a villain, because you need a villain to be a hero, right? And I want to be a freaking hero. I want to feel more confident. I want to feel like I'm well-rounded, because it's one thing to be successful in business. It's another thing to feel that self-love. And I really want to feel that self-love, like that I'm treating my body like the incredible one-of-a-kind machine that it is. And our bodies are so incredible, and yet we feed it with crap all the time. We all are driving around in Ferraris just in our skin, right? But we're putting in the lowest octane fuel possible. And there are a few of us, yes, that are really appreciating our bodies for what they are. But you know what? Our bodies are all we have, and our life depends on it, on how well we keep it and how well we maintain it. And I want to start that journey now, not just to show you that it's possible, but I also want to be around for my kids when they're older. I know I'm a little bit older, and God, I'm getting a little emotional now. But I want to see my daughter walk down the aisle or graduate college. And she's 2.5. I'm 43. So I got to stick around for a while. So this is my Hero challenge to myself. And I challenge you to take your own Hero challenge. Find your villain. If you want to share it with me, great. If not, keep it to yourself, but write it in a journal. Find out what really moves you, because that's what it's all about. So here I am, vulnerable to you, taking the Hairpreneur Show to a completely different level. All right. And I appreciate your support. I'll talk to you next week.
I love hearing from you. And by the way, have you subscribed to the podcast yet? Oh my gosh, if you haven't, please do so right now, because there's so much cool stuff ahead. make sure you hit that subscribe button because it would be much cooler if you did. Plus, I don't want you to miss any of the new episodes I'm dropping weekly. Last thing, if you haven't checked out RyanWhedon.com yet, there are some great freebies on there that I want to give you. So go ahead and check it out, RyanWhedon.com. Thank you so much for listening. You are awesome.